presenta.
Thank you very much, Ory Arad, CEO of Nucleon, for the opportunity to have this chat. And thank you very much, Juan Pablo Carci, JP, a very good friend and respected cybersecurity expert in Mexico. Thank you very much for the opportunity to have this chat.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this session.
Diversa. Así funcionan los negocios ahora.
Ory, a first question that I am that we must make is, can you tell us a little bit about what's Nucleon dedicated to, please?
Yeah, Nucleon is dealing with cyber intelligence. We are doing that in a different way, in a different angle. The intelligence that we are providing is based on deception. And I believe we'll speak about it a bit later. So we are providing enterprises with intelligence based on deception.
That's very interesting. And that should be like one of the key differentiators for your products, sir?
Correct. Nucleon has sensors spread all over the world and around and connected to external attack surfaces of organizations. And by that, we are luring towards us attackers, and we are able to identify what will be the next attack on your organization, on your company.
Wow, that's very interesting. I was, when I was talking with JP about this opportunity to talk, JP was referring to the Chinese military book written by The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and he was making an analogy of how does Nucleon uses this maxim of Sun Tzu and take it to strategies to organizations and governments. Can you tell us a little bit about it, please?
Yeah, we believe in Nucleon and Kappa 8 that today, if you are not proactive, if you are using the security measures, firewalls, and so on, you are not secure. You have to be proactive. You have to be different and to go out of your security area and go outside and understand what are your adversaries going to do prior to their attack, and accordingly prepare your security measures and be well prepared in advance.
Being well prepared, that sounds like a major challenge that, at least in Mexico, both corporate organizations and government organizations have. We tend to be a bit more confident than we should when talking about cybersecurity threats. And this presents itself as a challenge when trying to predict threats and work in attendance with them. What's the challenge or the most common challenge that companies like Nucleon faces when dealing with this type of customers that are at the same time worried and concerned for their security, but at the same time they live in this cultural silo of yeah, we'll fix it later, we don't have money now, and it's probably just a virus?
Correct. So organization, first of all, they need to change their state of mind. The world is changing. Correct. And we've seen in the past 2 years, the pandemic, no sector is immune anymore. Okay, we have seen in the last 2 years, car manufacturers, cyber companies, all of them, cloud providers, all of them are suffering from cyber attacks. And in order for you to be secure, you need to be proactive. You need to have and this is what Nucleon is doing. We are creating organizations that look and behave like you, but in other places, because the attacker, when he will come and attack your enterprise, he won't do it immediately. He will try it in another region. He will try it in Asia. He will try it in Europe, and then he will come to Latin America. Then he will come to Mexico. So by using Nucleon and the way that we tackle intelligence, this is actually the only way we see how we are able to bring you the indicators of the next attack early enough in order for you to prevent it.
It's a really major challenge. This question is for both JP and you, Ory. When talking about cybersecurity, it comes clear and more often that collaboration is key. How are Nucleon and Kappa 8 working together in order to implement this type of projects in Mexico, sir?
I should answer it? Okay. So we have a long relationship with Kappa 8. Today we are implementing with Kappa 8, they are our partner in Mexico. We are integrating our indicators into the different security measures of each and every enterprise that is using Kappa 8 services. And again, we are connecting and providing a service per customer, per need, again, depending on the level and maturity of their cyber posture. And this is actually the part that Kappa 8 is on foot on the ground. They are familiar with the customers. They are communicating and supporting them with analysts day by day, and verifying that all the indicators are addressed and taken care in order to prevent the next attack on each and every organization in Mexico.
Thank you very much. JP, how does making an alliance or working so close with companies that are working so deep within the cybersecurity challenges that we are facing, how does Kappa 8 benefit from working so close with a company like Nucleon?
It's very important to us to work with allies like Nucleon, because actually they are the best of the breed on the world in this matter. I think that Nucleon could help us to bring to our customers and in Latin America, not only in Mexico, a better understanding of the threats, real cyber threats, and also to bring a real value in order to protect them. So we think in Kappa 8 that, as you said, Emilio, the collaboration is key in cybersecurity, and we try to be in company with Nucleon as a key partner.
It's very interesting that you're mentioning this, because we've lived through at least two major events that have impacted the way we perceive the relevance and importance that cybersecurity has, not only within our companies, but with much more detail to our own personal and private information, and how we are challenged to take care of it and be more careful with it. But I'd like to, that's event one, all the COVID pandemic and digitalization that we had to go through. And the second event is the war. Russia and Ukraine have been facing a war that's come to the cybersecurity terrain a lot faster and a lot deeper, I think, that most of us were predicting or expecting that it would be. But one thing that really calls my attention is cybersecurity threats and attacks are growing not only in number, but in importance. And we had 1 year ago, we had President Biden calling for an emergency state in the United States. A few weeks ago, we had the Costa Rica case with a similar ransomware attack. How are governments facing this type of challenges, and how is Nucleon helping them to face them, sir?
So first of all, I think that after the Ukraine war, countries and nations understood that the cyber war is much more stronger and can affect them much more dramatically. Okay, and you mentioned countries and like Ecuador, 1 year ago as well, they suffered from cyber attacks all over the government agencies. And let's take Ukraine, Nucleon was able to identify this attack days before it happens. Why? Because we had an infrastructure in NATO countries such as Italy, Greece, and we identified the attack. Our sensors were attacked, and these sensors were used in order to attack Ukraine. And even after a few days, we were able to see the cleaners. The Russians ran cleaners in order to remove any trace of such an attack. But again, I think it's coming to the point that countries understand that not only the kinetic world is there, but it's the cyber world. And you see how, and Russia is a good example, that you are able to strike with cyber, and it could give a, let's say, much more successful result for some countries than the kinetic war. And you see that on the cyber scene, they maybe won, but when they went to a ground movement, they failed. And I think that today, countries mainly in Europe, we are now, we are addressing a lot of leads and a lot of needs from countries there that understand that they need to address the cyber domain, because if not, they will suffer. And the first step is to have the visibility and understanding of who is playing on my grounds, who are the players there, and what is my risk. And the only way to do it is to be proactive, to have an infrastructure that will sense the regions that you want to understand who is playing there, and get relevant intelligence ahead of time.
Ory, with this particular conflict between Russia and Ukraine, the cyber area or the cyber terrain has already been referred to as a domain of war, but different to land or space or whatever. When you're attacking another country in the cyberspace, there is no, at least not yet with the Hague or other boards or judicial boards within the world, there is no proportionality right now, considering a cyber attack. What is your take on this issue? How is it growing, and how important would be to already have cyberspace as a domain of war, and in consequence to have proportionality already conceived?
Yeah, I think first of all, the challenge with cyber that you are able to outsource the war. And,
yes.
And we see with Russia, they have been attacking through Brazil, and we saw they used the NATO infrastructure in order to attack Ukraine. And let's take the Iranian case. So they are able to, and the North Korean case, they are using subcontractors or the dark, and they are buying, hacking capabilities, hacking people. So I think that the cyber challenge is a much more challenging issue, because again, it's like you're saying, now maybe someone is sending ammunition to Ukraine, but with cyber, you can just, buy it and they will execute. So there are no borders, there are no limitations. And today you can buy any service, and it's only a matter of money. So no, I'm saying it's a challenge that, it's something that you are not able to control. So if you won't have in advance infrastructure that will provide you the intelligence, you won't have the resources set. And now Europe and NATO countries are suffering from that. They understand that there is a huge gap between the risk and the power of the nations and what they are ready for. They don't have the cyber tools and security measures in order to prevent the next attack.
That's very interesting. And again, I would like to make this question for both Ory and JP.
Plataforma digital, comunicación alterna, posibilidades ilimitadas. inkoo, espacio comercial. Volvemos.
Diversa. Así funcionan los negocios ahora.
Estamos de regreso con más de inkoo, comunicación sin límites.
With the increment that we've had on this type of cyber attacks, it comes to our attention that advanced countries that have a high level of digitalization have become more prone and susceptible to cyber attacks. And that's not the logical thinking that could have come, as so obvious or natural, except when you hear and say, well, the more you are digitized, the more points of attack you have, the less digitized as a country you are, the less exposed you can be to this type of attacks. But if you are not very much digitized country, if you suffer an attack, it will be a devastating attack. How is this changing in the type of products and services that Nucleon is offering on your site, Ory? And how is this impacting in the way Mexico is perceiving cyber threats and cyber products that you are implementing, JP?
So first of all, Nucleon is a full SaaS infrastructure, or what we call an infrastructure as a service. So we are not doing, so we are doing all the heavy lifting for the organization. So we don't expect our customers to do any heavy lifting to set up IT and infrastructure. So we are supporting entirely their process. As you are saying, they have enough challenges for moving to digitalization, to moving from the on-prem to the cloud. And this is exactly how we support them. The infrastructure is very light. Kappa 8 and us, we are doing all the heavy lifting and supporting them. They just need to connect our feeds, and they are able to see and manage all the intelligence that we are providing and prevent the next attack.
Yeah, in our case, Emilio, as Ory said, it's as easy as Ory said. We need to consume only this as a service, and I think that it is a very accessible and easy way to provide this kind of services and access to this kind of services to our governments, for example. No, that we need that we know that we have that they had a lot of difficulties to in order to obtain this kind of value. So yes, for us, it's important to provide a strategy based on three fundamentals. The first one is that we need to work in security culture. We think that the most important change in the security world is the people. So we need to talk with people. So we need to provide people with the tools in order to protect them. And also, of course, the infrastructure. And with this kind of allies, we are sure that we can help governments and companies in Mexico in order to have a better cyber space.
Thank you very much, JP. And Ory, the time is running, and whenever you are very interested and learning so much as I am right now, it runs faster. I'd like to thank you very much for the opportunity to talk with me and with the uGOV community. And that's the reason of my explanation for my last question. Most of our community right now is conformed by CIOs, CTOs working within government branches, from municipal to state to federal agencies. And in Mexico, we've been very much aware of the importance of cybersecurity, but at the same time, the government has been going through a lot of challenges with regarding budget. So what is the perspective, or how is Nucleon watching the Mexico evolution? Do you feel Mexico is doing the least minimum expected as a government to have a better cybersecurity? And how can Nucleon, and what would be your message to all these people that is in charge of technology areas and cybersecurity areas? How can Nucleon work with governments? How easy it is for governments to team up with Nucleon? And the final part of the question, JP, would be, how can Kappa 8 can leverage these services working with Mexican governments?
Okay, so first of all, Nucleon is, as I mentioned, we are doing all the heavy lifting. So for governments, there is no effort. Okay, so Nucleon is setting up the deception and decoy infrastructure in their IP range, in the national IP range, enabling them visibility of who are the actors, what are the threats in their nation IP range. And as explained, all the information is gathered and used only by them, so no one is exposed to that.
Okay.
And again, the only way for governments today to secure themselves is by using innovative technologies, by using deception, being proactive, going out of their a building and creating and establishing IT and cybersecurity capabilities that will provide them intelligence, provide them eyes for what is going to happen in a few weeks, in a few months, in order for them to be well prepared, to have the early warning platform for the risks and threats that are expected for them by hackers and other nations.
Ory, did you expect that such a major change in the perspective within cybersecurity projects would have happened in so much little time? What's your take on this? Our philosophy was react as fast as you can whenever you're attacked. And you are now talking as be proactive. In fact, implement deception. Why should I try to, lure some cyber criminals in order to have them close? Why deception as a countermeasure on cybersecurity threats? That's very interesting, sir.
The only way for you, again, we are doing all the infrastructure, so we are spreading it all over the world. But what I'm saying today, that no campaign is starting in a certain company. It starts in a certain region, it starts in a certain sector, and then it's affecting the entire region, and then the entire world, and so on, like we've seen in the financial sector, like we've seen in ISPs, and so on. So, so the only way for you to understand and be ready for the next attack is by creating and using decoy and deception in order to gather relevant intelligence, to gather the right indicators that will prevent and block the next attack that will be in your door.
Thank you very much, Ory. JP, how can Mexican governments team up with Capa 8 in order to implement the type of solutions that Nucleon has and is working on?
Thank you, Emilio. Yes, only have access to us. If you can contact us and we can talk about the solution and talk about the services that could help them to protect them. And also we can provide a POC, a proof of concept that we can that could help them to understand and identify these threats before they can impact them. Now, so that we think that is the key. They need to predict and to be proactive. With this POC, we guarantee we are more than sure that you are going to identify what is the situation of the entity. Well,
ladies and gentlemen, bots, trolls that are listening to us within this session, you need to visit nucleon-security.com and you need to review the type of platforms and solutions that they are integrating. And obviously, you need to contact Capa 8 and our good friend Juan Pablo Carci. If you are interested in a demo, a presentation, any type of meeting that you might require in order to make a correct assessment of what type of products and services you might need, but I am positive that the type of products and services that Nucleon is providing is the type of services that they sound too good to be true, and they are better when you're using them. I dare to say this. Ory Arad, CEO for Nucleon, thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for the opportunity of having a talk with us and helping us learn better how cybersecurity is advancing. This is so I'm very much impressed of how fast cybersecurity became a luxury, from a luxury to a major major concern in everything from budget to daily operation to future implementations. If you don't have cybersecurity running in parallel in everything digital you're doing, you are making a big mistake. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, I agree. It's a huge challenge that you have to address and you have to face it today, not wait. Be proactive on that as well. I fully agree, and it was a pleasure to join this session.
Thank you very much, Ory. It would be a pleasure to, whenever you come visit Mexico, it would be a pleasure to get together and, I don't know, have some tequila, you know, that's like the first thing.
I love Mexican tequila. Yeah, it's amazing.
Have a great day. Thank you very much, Ory Arad, CEO for Nucleon, and Juan Pablo Carci. Thank you very much from Capa Ocho, very and close friends for uGOB. Thank you very much for your experience and for your time, sir.
Thank you, Emilio, and thank you, Ory.
Thank you very much. Que tengan muy bonito día. Soy Emilio Saldaña, el Piso, y es un placer platicar con ustedes en uGOB, en estos paneles y sesiones en los que nos acercamos a los expertos para que directamente de los expertos podamos conocer qué soluciones vamos a implementar el día de hoy con la oportunidad de conocer a la gente de Nucleon.
Diversa. Así funcionan los negocios ahora.
Una producción de inkoo. Derechos reservados.